Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Now we move to chapter 6, which is library user services, circulation department and reference department. Before this, you have learned about acquisition department and the technical services department. Now we move to the library user services. Okay, the topic learning outcome first, to understand the roles and responsibilities of library user services, which are circulation department and reference department, and then to understand various duties of library user services, personnel and how they can assist the users. Next, to understand various services offered by the library in order to help users. Okay, what we want to cover in this chapter is definition of circulation in library, then functions, their functions and importance, as well as the roles of circulation service. We define circulation service as the process of checking books and other materials in and out of a library. Also refers to the total number of items checked out by library borrowers over a designated period of time, and to the number of times a given item is checked out during a fixed period of time, usually 1 year. Okay, basically, circulation, as you know, is the process where users can borrow the book and return the book. But they are, when they borrow and return the book, they are comply with certain condition. For example, maybe users can check out until 5 books per time, and then they are given 2 weeks or maybe a month to borrow that book. It depends on the library policy. So the function of circulation services, basically this department handles all kind of services related to the circulation of the library materials, such as loans or borrowing, and then returning, renewal maksudnya you dah pinjam tapi you rasa you nak panjangkan lagi tempoh pinjam tu, so you renew the books. And then reservation, you reserve books because of books that you want is being borrowed by another person, and overdue charge, penalty when you borrow books more than the actual period. So, circulation service may also handle matters related to facilities provisions such as rental of lockers, rental of carer rooms, rental or usage of discussion rooms, usage of computer facilities, rental of computer laboratory, rental or usage of halls or auditorium, and overdue notifications. So basically, anything that related to the facilities and the user will be handled by the circulation service. So the importance of the service, to make it easier for patrons to use and library personnel to operate. Sebab apa ada circulation service ni? Sebab senang library user nak guna ataupun nak pinjam bahan-bahan dalam perpustakaan. Next, to save borrower time, to speed up the routine of checking in and out, because of there are, sebab apa save time? Sebab ada specific department to handle these things. And then to reduce cost, as well as to relieve librarians for more professional work. Sebab biasanya circulation service, return and borrowing ni is handled by the assistant librarian or library assistant. So professionals, librarians can focus on the other job. Alright, now the roles of circulation service in the library. To manage and control the circulation of library materials to users, they will handle circulation tu maksudnya the process of borrowing and returning materials to the user, among the user, to provide an effective system for charging out and checking in the library. Bila ada circulation service ni, diorang akan bertanggungjawab untuk buat satu sistem yang lebih cepat, yang lebih berkesan pada user, untuk user pinjam dan pulangkan buku dengan cepat. Next, to manage the activities related with circulation control. So any activities related with the circulation will be handled by this department to ensure the collections are well maintained through the shelving, reshelving, shelf reading, shifting and inventory. So anything or any books, any materials on the shelf will be handled or will be monitored by the circulation service or circulation department. Okay, now we move to the library circulation department operations, types of circulation system, circulation records, as well as requirement in the circulation department. In the library circulation department, the operations including membership and registration service. You tahu kan kalau saya kat library, kat perpustakaan, even though in our library, we also have members. So in PSB, all of the students, staff, academic and non-academic staff are the members of the library. Jadinya yang bertanggungjawab untuk registerkan member ni adalah circulation department. They also handle lending, loan and borrowing service, as you know. Record, reservation and renewal service. Ini pun berkaitan dengan lending and borrowing, so they also handle this. Book return service, specialized collection service. Okay, specialized collection service ni contoh buku yang tak boleh dipinjam, tak boleh dibawa, tak boleh bawa keluar pada library, tapi boleh dipinjam untuk jangka masa sekejap. Contohnya thesis. So biasanya thesis ni is special collection service. So this is also handled by the circulation department. Usually thesis can be borrowed by the user, but only can be used in a small room or thesis room. Selalunya macam tu lah, tapi it depends on the library policy how they want user to access that kind of materials. Okay, then Redspot borrowing, which is 24 hours service. Ni selalunya kalau contoh lah, kalau misalnya buku lain, user boleh pinjam for 2 weeks or maybe a month. But for the Redspot, they are allowed to borrow within 24 hours. Another operations of the library circulation department including OPAC, online public access catalogue, and then community information service, the service information service beyond the library area. Next, book drop services, either manual or electronic, children's section, interlibrary loan, as well as customer relations. Alright class, this is the types of circulation system. First is charging and discharging. Macam biasalah, kita guna yang macam dekat PSB tu, charging and discharging. And then semi-mechanical system. Next, we use automated circulation integrated software system. This is used by the system adopted by a library. Ikutlah library tu guna sistem apa, and then when they are doing circulation, they are using that system. Next, we have RFID system. I believe that all of you are familiar what is RFID system. And then user registration system. This is all types of circulation system. Okay, circulation records including register system, dummy system, card system and computerized charging system. Okay, register system ni macam sistem yang digunakan dalam buku. Like perpustakaan guna buku untuk rekodkan peminjaman dan pemulangan buku. Dummy system is kita buat macam demo je lah untuk record peminjaman pemulangan. Card system, for the card catalog kita guna card system. Selalunya kalau you notice ataupun kalau you pernah jumpa, there is books with the book pocket, and then in the book pocket there is a card. In the card they will stated when you when you borrow the book and when you have to return the books. And lastly, nowadays maybe most of the libraries are using computerized charging system. Kita guna sistem saja untuk charging and discharging. Okay, requirements in circulation department. We have factors in planning, circulation management, records and statistics, as well as miscellaneous jobs in the library circulation department. Now we move to the staff. We will cover on the circulation, librarian roles and responsibilities, competencies and qualifications, as well as paraprofessional staff. Okay, for the circulation, librarian roles and responsibilities, they need to remain attentive to patron needs. Kena aware, you need to focus what is the needs of your customer. And then call severely damaged, inappropriate or unusable materials and repair damaged materials as needed, following standard procedures. So they also need to identify which materials are damaged, which materials is inappropriate for the users, and which materials is not usable, because of this will be used for the weeding process for the unusable materials. And then as for the damaged materials, they need to send to the Preservation and Conservation Department. They also need to reshelve materials, work with the reserve shelf, maintain the new materials shelf, and shelf rate the collection. So, librarian ni juga bertanggungjawab pada bahan-bahan atas rak. Kena susun balik buku. Susun balik buku tu boleh buat dengan ni lah, para professional staff with the librarian assistant. With the library assistant or with the assistant librarian. And then they need to maintain the new materials shelf. Kena tengok, katakanlah dekat library tu ada rak untuk buku-buku yang baru di katalog. So, they need to maintain that shelf as well. Next, responsibilities provide suggestions to the director for new materials based on observations of incomplete series, imbalance of subject categories, trends in usage of materials, and pattern feedback. Okay, bila you kat escalation, you will know the needs of the user. So, when you know the needs of the user, you can make suggestions to the director what kind of materials that the library need to purchase. Jadinya, this suggestion come from your observation. Contoh, you nampak, okay, ada siri yang tak lengkap. And then, patrons always ask for this material. So, you need to provide this kind of material and so on. Another responsibilities is assist patrons in charging and returning materials. Kena bantulah pengguna macam mana nak pinjam dan pulangkan bahan. Okay, now, qualification of librarian. It should have master degree or degree in library science or in related field. And then competencies. Librarian should have thorough knowledge of standard library principles, methods, materials, and practices, especially as they relate to circulation, operations, and management. Jadi, bila you jadi librarian, circulation librarian, you kena tahu all of the things, all of the approach, all of the methods, all of the policies and procedures related to the circulation department. Then, librarian need progressively responsible experience in circulation operations and management or any equivalent combination of training and experience sufficient to provide the knowledge, skills and abilities necessary for this position. For the librarian, they need to have experience. They need to gain experience related to the circulation department, and then they are able to share their knowledge with their subordinate. Maksudnya bila jadi librarian ni, you ada knowledge juga untuk kongsi dengan staff bawahan, dengan assistant librarian and also library assistant. Another competencies is librarians also need to have leadership skill. They need to lead their staff, and then they have ability to work in team. Okay, tak semestinya buat kerja seorang, kena ada kebolehan untuk bekerja dalam kumpulan. The circulation librarian will also pursue in cooperation with the director ongoing educational opportunities appropriate to this position. Jadi, circulation librarian ni kena bekerjasama dengan director as well for the career development. Okay, now, para professional staff in the circulation department, as I mentioned before, it should be assistant librarian. So, what they have to do is work with the library card records and work with overdue records and fine. Kalau misalnya tak ada library card, they need to work with the system. Identify who has overdue records and who have fines to pay. Then they need to answer the telephone, provide over the phone information and renewals. They have to assist user through the phone as well. Next, keep the record of public computer usage and keep the community room schedule. Kena ada maklumat berkenaan pengguna. Receive and process daily mail and shipments. Provide related and ancillary patron services such as request for information, renewal, fax and photocopying services, examination proctoring and computer scheduling. Okay, benda-benda berkaitan not professional works will be handled by this para professional. Termasuklah handle all of the mail, and then handle renewal, handle photocopying service and so on. Source and prepare materials to be entered, following standard procedures, perform other tasks as needed under the supervision of the librarian. All of the things need to be supervised by the librarian, and somehow they are doing works based on the librarian instructions. Okay, now reference service. Another department or another service in the library. We will cover on the definition, types of reference services, reference resources, as well as reference question. So reference service, it can be defined as reference and information services or reader services. Jadi you kena ingat, reference service, other term is reference and information service or reader service. It is the personal assistance provided to users in the pursuit of information. So you know, reference services is a personal service, one-to-one service for between a librarian and the user in order to fulfill the user's information needs. The concept of reference service encourage the patron to contact the library or use the library website when there is an information need. Kenapa kena ada reference service ni? Sebab apa? Kita nak menggalakkan pengguna untuk berhubung dengan library ataupun untuk menggalakkan pengguna untuk menggunakan library website, because of nowadays, instead of doing a physical reference consultation, we are providing reference service through the web. Kalau you perasan dekat library portal kita pun ada chat with a librarian. That is one method of the reference service, one approach. Okay, another concept is to determine what the real information need is, because we focus on the one person. Find the information that will meet the need and make sure the need has been met. Maksudnya when the users use this reference service, we need to make sure that the purpose of the contact or the use reference service is met, is fulfilled. Alright, this is the types of reference service: assistance or instruction in library use, and that assists in identifying the library material needed to answer a question. So the first type ni kita ajar macam mana nak gunakan perpustakaan. Second, we educate users to find information or to find sources in the library in order to fulfill their information needs. And next type is provide brief, factual answer to questions such as addresses, statistics, phone numbers, etc. that can be quickly located. Third type ni maksudnya soalan yang you boleh terus dapat jawapan. So this is the resources of reference. As you know, I rasa all of you are familiar with this. It includes almanacs, yearbooks, dictionaries, encyclopedia, maps or atlases, biographical sources, handbooks or manuals, yearbooks, directories, thesauri, statistical sources, as well as catalogs and bibliography. There are 4 types of reference questions, which are directional, ready reference, specific search questions, and in-depth research. Sorry. The purpose of reference department, first, to provide comprehensive and up-to-date references for library users and staff, and then to help library users become efficient library users, provide user education programs to enable them to exploit information resources, and to provide referral and information service to meet user information requirement. Basically, the purpose of reference department is to serve the user, is to fulfill the user information needs, is to entertain user requests, and so on. This is service rendered by the reference department. They provide personalized assistance, as I mentioned to you before, one-to-one consultation between a librarian and a user to customers seeking information for any purpose. It covers all functions performed by trained librarians placed in the library's reference section to meet customer information requirement in person, by telephone or electronically. So ada 3 cara lah untuk reference service consultation ni. Either face to face, telephone or electronically, using a web, macam saya kata tadi, chat with a librarian for example, ataupun you boleh contact through email. And for your information, all of the librarians which is placed in the reference service is going through a training on how to deal with the customers, with the users. Okay, requirement in reference department. Reference services include direct service and teaching instruction. Direct services that provide specific information requested by users temporarily. And then teaching or instructional services that teach users the use of library resources so that they can become proficient in using their own library resources. Jadi, reference department ni dia cover bermacam-macam. Sama ada you nak direct answer ataupun you nak direct service which provide specific information, and then or maybe instructional service, so that user will know how to use library resources in order to answer or in order to fulfill their information needs. Okay, the public or user service point in the library reference department, where assistance can be obtained when a person has a question about how to find specific information or how to use library services and resources. Usually it is located near the library reference collection, and assistance can be in person, by telephone or by email. So reference desk, usually it is located near the entrance of the library, and then they are also placed close to the reference collection. Dia akan diletakkan dekat dengan bahan-bahan ni lah, dekat dengan almanacs, yearbooks, sectionaries and so on. Because of these sources can be used to answer reference questions. Okay, now reference librarian roles and responsibilities. First, reference librarian need to be knowledgeable because of they are providing reference services to patrons by answering questions regarding topic. Kena berpengetahuan. And then reference librarian need to be an explorer because of they will assisting patrons with locating materials in the library's collection through the use of computer databases and other resources such as encyclopedias and dictionary. Okay, reference librarian need to educate, need to guide the users how to find the materials, how to find the sources in the library, and how to use these sources to answer their question. Reference librarians need to be a guidance as well, which is they need to assist researchers by providing guidance on research methods, technique, and resources. They also need to be multitasking because of they are coordinating activities with other library staff members and participating in interlibrary loan programs, recommending purchase of new materials and managing e-resources. Multitasking, kena ada kebolehan buat macam-macam. Coordinating activities and then assist user and then guide user and so on. Reference librarian need to be an instructor as well because of they are conducting workshop and other educational programs for patrons on topics such as basic computer skills, using online databases, and using electronic citation formats in academic work. So, reference librarian also need to be an educator because of they need to teach users on how to be an information literate person. Contohnya, they need to conduct computer class, assist user or teach user on how to use the computers, or maybe they need to organize information literacy class, and then they need to organize online database class, educate user on how to use online database and how to search in an online database. So, competencies of reference librarian including basic knowledge of information resources. Dia kena ada pengetahuan asas at least berkenaan dengan bahan-bahan yang membekalkan maklumat. Then, they need to have skill in conducting reference interview. Okay, conducting reference interview. Ada skill ni sebabnya they need to trigger what is the needs of the users. Maksudnya, kalau bagi soalan tu takkan berakhir kat situ je. Ada following up questions. They also need to have knowledge of policies, legal, ethics and issues. They also need to have technology skill, tahu macam nak guna komputer, tahu macam mana nak manipulate the software, manipulate the applications in order to find the information needs. And they also have to enhance they need to empower communication and presentation skill. Kena ada skill dalam berkomunikasi, kena ada skill dalam presentation, because of they need to present the information to the users. So paraprofessional duties, they have assistant. The paraprofessional staff will assist reference librarians whenever needed. Assistant librarian ni will help librarians whenever needed, bila diperlukan. Substitute, they are also able to answer the frequently asked questions in reference test. Assistant librarian ni kadang-kadang dia dah tahu dah soalan apa yang selalu ditanya dekat reference test, so they need to know how to answer the questions consistently. Arrangement, assist in arranging reference sources based on the priority and high demand among the users. So para professional staff, assistant librarian, library assistant need to know how to arrange the materials based on the priority or based on the highest usage of the sources. Next, instructor's assistant assist the reference librarian in conduction literacy class, information skill class and other related class. So reference librarian will conduct the class, and then library assistant as well as assistant librarian will help to conduct the class. The paraprofessional staff in the reference department plays an important role in supporting the reference librarian to fulfill users' information need. Jadinya, okay, support staff, based on the terms itself, you know that they are supporting the reference librarian in order to fulfill the users' information needs. So class, that's all. If you have any question, you may ask me anytime.